Hello and welcome to the CyberCast, which is UNSW Security Society's podcast about anything and everything cybersecurity related. Today we've got a very special guest, very exciting. His name is David Huber, and he currently works at Red Super as CISO. I'm very excited. First of all, can you introduce us what exactly your role is as Chief Information Security Officer?
Yes, certainly. So I work at Red Super at the moment, and it's called General Manager Information Security and Risk, and it does entail a lot of different areas around cyber and risk. We've got about 6 or 7 functions in our team. Security operations, or we actually split that into 2 recently, into offensive security and defensive security. We've got a governance compliance function, cyber governance compliance, technology risk function, cloud security, identity access management, and also security architecture areas. And that last function doesn't report into my team, but it's dotted line and works very closely with this. So it's quite a dispersed group, but we also work very closely with other teams at Rest on our financial crime and fraud teams and our privacy teams and physical security teams. So it's sort of doing what we do together.
That's a lot. I see that you're overseeing a lot of these teams. You actually what do you do on a day-to-day basis? What does it look like?
Well, no one day is the same, as people can say. It really depends on what's going on, maybe that week or that month. It could be anywhere from preparing board reports, looking at cyber matters or incidents. It could be preparing for regulatory responses or regulatory visits. Day-to-day BAU operations at the moment. We've got a big transformation program going on. They're going on for a few years, which has been fantastic. There's a real commitment from Risk specifically to uplift cyber and either make it better than it's ever been. So that takes up a lot of time too. We've got a lot of programs or projects running at the same time as we continue to mature wherever we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Cybersecurity is really growing here in Australia. So the topic today, we really want to know what it's like to or what's the journey like to go from being a graduate, since there's going to be a lot of new computer science and also cybersecurity graduates in Australia and of course around the world. Also taken a really long time for you to get to where you are right now. If I recall, that's the top, the highest role in a company you can be for cybersecurity. Is that correct?
Yeah, look, the top role may either be called a Chief Information Security Officer or where I am General Manager of Information Security. So it is, from a cyber perspective, the top role. It does report into different chief roles, maybe a Chief Information Officer role or a Chief Risk Officer role or a Chief Operations Officer role. But it is certainly the top role there.
And also managing what goes on in the company when it comes to cybersecurity risks. So starting from the beginning, may I ask you what did you graduate in?
Well, interestingly, when I left school, I had 2 opportunities. At school, there was a maths class that taught programming. So it was called basic programming. It was around 40 years ago. So you can sort of work out how old I am. And I loved it. So we got to work on computers or play on computers and learn how to program in basic. None of the other maths classes taught that. So I really grew fond and loved actually writing programs and seeing results of it on the screen. And from there, I had 2 options out of school. University wasn't one of them. One of them was to work at the Commonwealth Bank as a teller, or I went to Martin Place and did a psychometric test just after the HSC, as it's called in my time. It's a bit different nowadays, the high school certificate. I did a psychometric test for an Australian traineeship in computer programming. So I was fortunate enough to get selected. And for 2 years, I did on-the-job training, so I got paid to work for 2 years. I did work programming of Pascal, COBOL, and Fortran, both UTS and TAFE. So for 2 years, I've got that real life knowledge working for a company, but also the academic and theoretical knowledge of how to program through university and TAFE. So it was really the best of both worlds. And I eventually finished with the Australian traineeship graduation or graduate certificate.
You did a lot of development work, right? So it's mostly programming, Pascal. I actually did Pascal back in high school. Okay. It was very interesting considering no one really uses Pascal anymore. But you know what? good for like building the fundamentals of programming.
Exactly.
Yeah. What made you pivot into cybersecurity then, or what did that happen to you?
So it's a fair way down the journey. So when I was a developer for maybe 10 plus years, cybersecurity wasn't a core focus. It was really building solutions and getting things out there that worked. It only come later. So I'd say in the last 10 years, and it sort of grew from roles around. I was very fortunate to have a really good grounding with the development and the engineering background. But then I had database administration, network administration, systems administration, IT management, project management office. So I had a really good grounding of all aspects of tech, programs, projects, etc. And I think it was more so that regulatory space is where you start to get a little bit more awareness around obligations and guidelines around what you have to do from either the Australian regulation or overseas regulation like Singapore and Malaysia. There's a company I worked at. There was a lot of things around compliance to CPS 234 from an APRA perspective. But there's also regulations in Singapore from the Monetary Authority of Singapore. We're now very strict around cyber and cyber risk, etc. And that sort of just pervasively brought that into your day-to-day job, and I started really enjoying it. And then from there, started to get more involved from moving away from building and technology and infrastructure into cyber risk and cyber security. I've been in it for about 10 plus years now, purely cyber.
Yeah. I did want to ask as well. So when you went into cybersecurity, was it mostly technical or was like what you were doing mostly consulting?
Yeah, good question. So when I first went into it, it's a little bit of a mixture. So there's a little bit of a mixture of security awareness and training, risk and compliance, doing threat analysis, putting together monthly reports for boards. So there's a bit of a combination of compliance, risk, regulation, some tech-related stuff, but there wasn't really coding or building anything per se, just making sure the appropriate controls were functioning and so forth. But now it's a little bit of everything. You sort of got to be a jack of all trades and master of none in my role, because just there's a continuing need to evolve and learn, and there's so many things that are going on. The threat landscape's ever increasing and ever changing. So it's important that you build up your skills and knowledge and capability. So you need a really diverse, broad set of knowledge and skills. So to be very much so, regulation, compliance, governance, strategy was the initial foray into cyber.
Yeah, cybersecurity is like, it's very, very, very broad. So you've got like people who go into exploiting like low-level computers, web applications. What would you say your technical skills are mostly?
Technical skills. Well, as you become more a manager and maybe a senior manager, you sort of don't put the hands on the tools as much. So my technical days are certainly a little far away than I originally started my career. So absolutely a techie when I first started. Developing infrastructure, databases, everything. A little less so nowadays, or a lot less so nowadays. So it's more oversight. But in saying that, I did recently do the Google Cybersecurity Certificate.
Oh yeah.
Which I was doing Python scripting and SQL scripting and Linux and all sorts of things. It was really a lot of fun. It brought me back to my old days of being more of a techie. But nowadays, yeah, it's very much working as people, working with management, putting reports together, foreseeing strategy, fixing or working with teams to fixing challenges with our programs to make sure things run smoothly and try to foresee what the next thing is we need to protect ourselves from.
Yeah. So even if you set out too technical in your career, I guess you still have to keep up to date with all the new technologies that's going on. AI, going to new tools, a lot of things. So it must have taken a lot for you to get to where you are. What kind of skills set you apart from other potential candidates? Was it like, were you super smart? Were you super social? Did you text the most number of hacks a day?
Yeah, good question. I wasn't super smart. I was average in terms of intelligence, but I was very hardworking, very learned. Like I'd always listen to people and always sought to continually learn and ask people questions. So I was very inquisitive, but I had a very good grounding. Like that being a developer and getting into it, involved in all these different jobs I had through the whole technology stack effectively, and managing routers, managing firewalls, energy databases that really provided a great grounding and understanding of technology and networks and infrastructure and solutions. So it really paved pathways for me to have a great grounding. And then it's only in latter years where, I think the last 10 years, where really built the networks and built the brand a little bit more. In the old days, it was just quietly at your desk, you just do your work and work on the hours and work hard and do a good job, but not really talk too much or get out. It's only since I've sort of got involved with communities outside work in the cyber world that I've sort of really broadened knowledge, capabilities, friends, and networks. Just been really, really fun.
Yeah. I think for a lot of graduates, we face a lot of imposter syndrome in this career. You see all of these people who started hacking since they were 13, who've broken into their school systems when they were like in high school, and that's all very impressive. So it's good to hear that, you know, you claim you were like super smart, or I'm not saying that you are, but I can bet you are. But it's really encouraging to hear that, you don't have to be like the top of the top to get to where you are now. So what kind of skills should graduates focus on right after graduating from uni?
It's whether it's uni or TAFE. I think it's fantastic. I later in life did my master's, so I did a master's business later in life. That was while I was working, which is quite challenging, doing a full-time job. And in that job, I was traveling a bit there. But what should you focus on, graduates? I think it's while you're graduating, getting to know the community a little bit. We talked a little bit earlier before the podcast. Associations like the Australian Information Security Association, or forums like B-Sides. I don't know if you've heard of B-Sides.
Oh, yeah.
Or opportunities to go and work with the community, meet other people, talk to them, build your networks. It's really important for graduates to get your name out there. Opportunities to try, now I know it's not easy, but to try and get an internship or a short gig in an organisation, just for that, for your reference and so forth, is really important. Getting a bit of a personal brand. So a little bit of a personal brand. On LinkedIn is a bit old school for, I think, your age, the general age of graduates nowadays. But LinkedIn and other social media, building a bit of a presence there and getting that is really important.
Would you say like doing projects as well as important, or to say like just being out there, talking to the community, would you say that's also more important?
I think a combination of both. And you've done projects where you're producing, where you some objective or some outcome from a cyber perspective.
Yeah.
Have that in your resume, fantastic.
Prove your skills.
Prove your skills, show your initiative. There's the Capture the Flag competitions. I think New South Wales runs that.
Oh yeah, actually UNSW Security Society we recently had our K17 TTF. It was very, very successful, and we had around like 2,000 participants.
Wow.
More than that. So almost as much as down under TTF. I'm not entirely sure. I think that would have been a thought. But yeah, it was quite successful, and I was like very happy to hear that.
And did you guys win, or was it another year?
We weren't able to participate in our own.
You were organising. Yeah.
But I'm not too sure who the number one was. It might have been EMU Exploit, which is one of the CTF teams in Australia.
I think we had one of the top teams, because last year, come and visit our company for a few days. It was one of the teams. It was a mixture of different skill sets they had. I think it was a software engineer. I think there was a cyber student, and there was one other student that came and visited, because they came in the top 5 of the previous CTF, I believe. So they got to meet a CISO for the day. So that was we had lunch with them. That's really fun.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
On that note, does REST have any like programs themselves? Anything to upskill cybersecurity professional, future potential cybersecurity professionals?
Yeah, look, REST, we've really got tremendous support at REST in terms of cyber, from the very top, from our board and our CEO and my boss and all the executives. And we've built a really strong team. So I've been very fortunate to be able to build some really top talent across the team. So one of the focus areas now is also how do we build that pipeline? And I do appreciate it is challenging for some graduates to get that foot in the door. So we're trialing an internship program at the moment with a student from Macquarie, but it was a Macquarie / New South Wales selection. And this will be a pilot to see how it goes for about a 3-month period. And that student is going to go through 4 or 5 of our teams and get a bit of experience at each. And then we'll do a retrospective or a lessons learned session with her at the end and see how she feels about it. So we're starting we're starting that journey right now. Then we'll assess, and hopefully that becomes a more formal program that we can start to build a pipeline of talent and capability into our organisation that's leading up.
Mm-hmm. It's good to hear that cybersecurity, hearing it from the professionals that they're very keen to have give people opportunities, give people chances. Like you don't have to be, as I've mentioned before, you don't have to be a genius or stand out to like in terms of like intelligence or grades in order to make into cybersecurity.
That's exactly right. And I think when we talk about diversity, sometimes we just think about maybe gender diversity, which is very important. There's also diversity in skill sets and capabilities, and also inside the youth that have just graduated and bringing new ideas and new ways of working, ways of thinking, which we think is really important, both from a cyber perspective and the general culture of risk perspective.
Yeah, it's really important for us to realize that we can bring so much to the table if we were just confident about it. So anyone watching the podcast, there you go. You've heard it from the man himself. Get yourself out there, put a foot in the door. If you're a graduate, don't be too scared. You never know where you're going to end up.
Absolutely, and while I do have put up the hand relationship with the Australian Information Security Association, I work in the New South Wales branch as the deputy chair. Many unis have a free membership there, and some of the students don't know that. So with that free membership, come to our branch events, come to our summits, mix with the community, get free magazines, newsletters. It's a great way of getting to know the professional and professional network, and you're just building relationships that you don't otherwise have at this stage of your life.
Yeah. So just for the audience, what was the organization name again?
Yeah, so it's called the Australian Information Security Association. Mm-hmm. Don't quote me on this, but I think there's around 16,000 members across Australia. So it's the largest information security association in Australia, in the country. We've got branches in all states, and those branches run events and build and work with their communities to sort of talk cyber, everything cyber, build knowledge, build capabilities. There can be discussions around where they're looking for people as well in terms of jobs. So it's a really good community. If you're passionate and you want to grow and you want to build a career there, you can't come along. Maybe you need to come along to one event and see how it goes and see if you feel comfortable. I am seeing a lot more students from University of New South Wales, from Macquarie, from University of Western Sydney a few weeks ago, all coming to these events and really enjoying it.
That's really lovely. What's the following? What's the next event so that we can all come along?
Well, the biggest event coming up in, I think it's around the 14th of October, the Australian Cybersecurity Conference. So that's down in Melbourne. That's run by AISA, but not our branch. It's run by our national team. And there's around, I believe, 6,000 attendees there. They're looking at over 3 days. There's really, really good speakers coming. Around 400 plus sessions around talks, all sorts of fun and games there. So if you ever can get there to the Australian Cybersecurity Conference in Melbourne, that's one of the top conferences in the Southern Hemisphere. And that's next month. And then the following November, we're just organising our New South Wales branch event now. So we welcome all students from New South Wales and others to come along.
Yeah, and it's not just students, is it? It's a mixture of professionals, students.
Yeah, we do. From industry, from government, students. We have retirees who worked in the field, and it's from a social perspective, they love to come back and learn what's going on. The last branch meeting we had 2 people talk on AI. They talk about the future of AI and how it's going to work from a cybersecurity perspective and the goals and how it's going to evolve. So that was really interesting for a lot of people. Networking, a lot of people like as well. Afterwards, the food,
Yeah, it's quite a big thing nowadays. Obviously, everyone loves it. Everyone hates it. You love it, people hate it. It's a bit of a mixed bag. Has AI come up in work recently?
Absolutely. Look, it's we've got tremendous support again from the top, and our what we call the CTDO, Chief Technology and Digital Officer, and great support from our CEO recently. We were very fortunate recently to go to the leadership team at West went to AWS for an AI day, Azure to be an AI day to look at agentic AI and at the art of the possible and what we do, and to learn what AWS does. We're already using AI internally and continually looking to evolve it. And I think it's pervasive in a lot of the technology and tools we get. So especially in the cyber world, the tools we're bringing into the new technologies, it's embedded in there, in our SIEM, in our SOAR identity platforms, in our security, mail systems, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, on that topic, like, do you ever see AI in the form of like cyber threats or threat actors?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think now, certainly with the bots and some of the automation and technology for the attacks and threats, we're very confident it's being used right now. So a mechanism to execute on threats. So we need to make sure that we're also leveraging it from a protection and response and recovery and perspective, and we're doing so at this point in time. And continue these to evolve, it's not just a one-off.
Yeah, it's terrifying, isn't it? Like, it's with AI, I feel like things are getting a bit faster, maybe. Like the faster pace, we just.
Yeah, it is. It's that when we talk about that ever evolving threat landscape, it's just changing so quickly now. So it's important we get on the front foot, and we're also leveraging that technology for our benefit. So there's pros and cons to it. So we want to make sure we're leveraging that along with our defense index and our defensive threat strategies to ensure that we're doing the very best we can to protect our members and the people we care about most at risk.
Yeah, of course. I just wanted to ask, like, this might be a bit of a personal, private question. How does it feel to, like, be in charge of and also responsible for, like, the use of the retirement fund of so many millions of Australians? It must be, like, really, really stressful in your job, what you do.
Look, I'm very fortunate that in this stage of my career, I'm not only doing a job that I love, and I've got great support from, as I said, from my boss, the CEO, the board, and all the people I work with in my team and other teams. But you also feel very privileged to protect our hard-working Australians. We've got some wonderful members. We're over 2 million members at rest, and a lot of people have worked really hard. And we're honoured to be able to have the ability and the capability and the support to be able to protect them and make sure that their future retirements are safe. So very grateful and really enjoy the job.
That's really lovely to hear.
Yeah.
I was really quite interested, now that you mentioned it, what are the sort of like threats you see every day in the cybersecurity landscape? Whether it be like related to rest or just like in general, have you seen?
You talked about AI as a mechanism. Yeah, that's certainly something, and how quick threats can evolve, how quick phishing emails can be composed and sent out, and how quick vulnerabilities can be discovered and potentially look to be exploited. But I think when I talk to my peers in the industry, not only in the industry, but more broadly, we sort of can narrow them down to 3 or 4 different areas. And we look at like the risks around third parties. So a lot of companies rely on third parties to form functions to do their work, and making sure that they've got all the right controls in place, and the third and fourth fifth parties they use, that they've got those controls. So when we talk about third party risk is a big area, and the regulator called APRA is introduced a new standard around that called CPS 230, which focuses on operational resilience, and that's supporting and guiding and sort of promoting proper operational resilience in our supply chain. So when I look at that cyber risk piece, that's really helpful for the CPS 230 guidance and standards that have been coming into force. So third-party risk, insider risk is always a challenge, whether it's a partner or a contractor or an employee or whoever it may be, accidental or malicious, whatever it may be. That's for most organizations. Insider risk is a ever-present threat that is increasing. And I think just the general, broad brand cyber attack, you need to be far more aware of injection, phishing attack, whatever it might be, the cyber attack. If you look at the really broadly, the risks that you sort of look at, third parties and fourth parties, etc., the insider risk threat and the organization or the bodies and stakeholders that work for an organization or a part of it, and then the general cyber risk and cyber attacks.
Mm-hmm. So that's why you always do like those cybersecurity simulations where you send out all those phishing emails to your employees. Do you guys do that at Rest?
Yes, that's very important. We look at our people as one of our strongest lines of defense. And it's not just the technology we rely upon, but our people, and many examples, not only in our organization and others, where they discover that something is a bit unusual, and we can nip things in the bud. So it's really important to have people well educated and well skilled.
Yeah, as I say, like, your strongest link is the weakest link. So it's usually most of the time it's going to be humans. Most of the time it's going to be someone who who's a little naive, who thinks that something's more innocent than it actually is, which is why it's so important. But it's good that you're strengthening your defenses.
Yeah, that's right. So you always try and reduce the attack surface as much as you can. And then the people side is around continuing education. And if someone's maybe not doing great in these simulations, us and other companies will give them a little bit more training, have a chat with them and try and guide them and make sure that they sort of can understand what the signs are to pick up for and phishing emails or whatever that may be.
Yeah, I feel like most of we've talked about what graduates should focus on. It's been quite informative. I have one last question. Is that if you were to time travel back, how old are you? If you mind me asking.
I'm older than you.
Well, I can see.
I'm in my 50s.
In your 50s?
Yeah.
Right. If you could go back like 35 years and meet your graduate self, what kind of advice would you give him? And what would you do differently?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Because as you get more experience, you grow a little bit older, you get more confidence and more knowledge as you get more opportunities to management. It's very different to when you first started off. I was quite an introvert as a developer, and then kept to myself and didn't speak to anyone. So I went back 30 years. Still pretty older than you, I think, back 30 years ago. But I think things around getting out a little bit more, mixing with the community a little bit more, getting out of the comfort zone, building the brand a little bit more around maybe writing some articles or putting things out there or presenting at a conference or talking in front of people, which I didn't do till much later than after I graduated from the Australian traineeship. So I think it's building brands, getting out of your comfort zone a little bit within reason, but building your networks, and the foundational things of working hard, having good emotional intelligence, knowing when how to behave or when not to do, and working smarter as well, not just harder, working smarter, or things that can be through a good career.
Yeah, that's what I'm super grateful about here at UNSW, especially in the security society. We've got quite a strong community. We often take like members to B-sides recently, to conferences, making sure that people are able to connect, get their name out. And yeah, it's really good to hear that grads are going out, get there. And it's like really, really important for us to be able to do that as well.
Yeah, generally with industry, these sorts of conversations, as you said, you run the SecEdu conference as well. And that brings together industry, academia and the students, which is fantastic. It's great.
There's no better time to be like united than being a cybersecurity professional.
Right, absolutely. It's not a one department show in any organization. It requires all departments, all people working together. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we build like the wall for the entire population, especially in Australia. So there's always so many like threat actors, just like cybersecurity threats and everything out there. Like our data is more protected than this. I think that might be about it. Like we've got everything packed down. I'm so happy to have you here. Like I really appreciate it. Obviously our audience here appreciates it as well. Thank you so much, David.
Pleasure. Thank you, Dini. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Oh, actually, I do have one more silly question. Yeah. Have you ever had like a cool hacker tag or like a cool gamer tag?
Maybe don't want to disclose it because I use that tag in a lot of my social media.
Oh, okay.
Let's just say it's a very popular one. It would be a very well known one as what my tag is, but I don't actually announce it because I sort of want to keep it a little bit discreet.
Of course.
I have a number of different aliases that I don't wish yes. In my personal life, not in my professional life.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe the audience can guess his gamer tag.
If you guess the tag, you win a free coffee with me.
Lovely. Thank you so much, David. It was so good having you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.